It is 9:30 Eastern Time here in Vermont. Welcome to Yoga Intermissions. Today's focus is, do you know squat? Do you know squat? We're going to explore the amazing capabilities of three different squats to open up the hips, to create strength in the ankles and the quads and the belly, and to lengthen the back. We'll do some other things as well, but we are focusing on what I'm calling the Papa Bear squat, which is the high squat, the Mama Bear squat, which is, as you know, my favorite chair, Utkatasana, and the Baby Bear squat, which is prayer squat. Now, if these don't work for you, you can always find your way to seated and work on opening your hips, either in Baddha Konasana, in starfish pose, or with your legs wide. There are lots of ways you can incorporate the sense of the squat, hip opening, leg opening, and strengthening into your practice. So let's go ahead and get started. Find a comfortable seat. If you feel you need props at any point, you can grab them. My name is Karen, coming to you from Salt and Sand Studios. Hands in your lap or resting on your thighs is a fine way to start. And we create some space between the ears and the shoulders. Draw the belly in slightly so it's a little activated, and draw the tailbone just a little forward. Begin to notice the breath. And take a scan of the body from the toes all the way to the hips. And as you get into like the thigh, hip, glute area, linger there. Noticing if anything feels tight or if you're holding any tension. Or maybe you're sitting very, very comfortably in the knees or below the hips and you're feeling pretty darn open already. Now bring your awareness to the top of the head and scan your body all the way back down to the hips. See if you notice anything different, as if you're peering inside your skin at the pelvis from above it, at the hip joints, at the muscles, at the fact that the belly muscles, the obliques, and others are part and parcel of how your hips work. At your hip flexors on the front, your greater trochanter on the outside, and your glutes in the back. Let's drop the hands to the floor. Fingertips are on the floor. We're going to drop the chin to the chest. Walk the fingers left and right away from you and lift the chin. Turn the head to the right. Breathe in. And exhale, twist a little more. Drop the chin and the nose toward the armpit on the same side. Drop the chin to the chest. Bring the chin even, parallel with the floor, and look over the opposite shoulder. An inhale makes this back long, and an exhale allows us to twist. The chin drops, nose drops toward the armpit on that same side, and we breathe. Chin drops once again, and then we lift it. Then we bring the arms up, out by the sides, like we're flying. See if you can activate your triceps a little bit. Then we're going to point the fingers toward the sky and reach the heels of the hands away from us, like you're making your wingspan longer. And then point the fingers down, reach the outer wrists away from you. We'll take that again. Fingers point up. And fingers point down. Fingers point up. This time we're going to take little circles forward. Keep reaching with the heels of the hands away from you and then backward. And then forward, but big, big, big circles. So that might slow down a little bit. And backward. And then the palms lift up, arms in front of you. Lock the arms back into your shoulders. Lift the arms overhead so the palms are facing forward. And then rotate the shoulders so the palms face one another. Breathe in. Exhale, hands to your heart. Consider now what it is that brought you to your mat, or maybe you have a specific intention in mind for your practice today while you're on your mat. Close the eyes, and as you breathe 3 cycles of breath, repeat that intention to yourself in your mind. And now a cleansing breath. Now a deep inhale for Om. Let's bring the hands, the elbows by the sides, tuck them in and face the palms down. You want to work to open up your collarbones, which can be hard if you're squeezing your triceps and your elbows in toward your ribs and your waist. Fingers can be slightly wide. We're going to go ahead and flip the hands facing the sky. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze in. Slowly flip the hands facing down. 2 more of these. That's round 2. 1 more. Now we'll go ahead and make fists of the hands so the palms are still facing down. Elbows are still squeezed into the sides. And we're going to bend the wrists so the back of the wrist is facing forward and your knuckles are facing down. It's a really nice stretch. I can feel it in the back of my wrist and also in my forearm. And we're going to take that and bring the scrunchy part of the fingers forward. So your fist face forward and down, up and forward, down, and up and forward. Now you're going to bring your fists so the index finger and the thumb sides are facing up. And we're going to do that same motion, drawing the fist downward. And then we draw it up. 2 more rounds. And the 3rd and final round. Nice. If you're sitting on a prop, you might remain there. We're going to go ahead and bring the soles of the feet to the ground. And the feet are about as wide as your mat, maybe a little bit wider. Your hands will come to either your shins or your kneecaps, and you're going to lift up. This is sort of our first squat feel. You're drawing your belly in, your shoulders down, and your tailbone forward a little bit. See if you can press the big toe mounds into the earth. Lift that heart like it's sweeping its energy forward on your knees. Now we're going to move this into a little trunk rotation. The hands can come behind you, and we go ahead and drop the knees to one side. Doesn't matter which. I can feel my inner thighs are a little tight, and we're going to drop to the other side. Oh, yeah. Knees face the sky. We're going to take the soles of the feet together. We're going to make a nice big diamond inside our legs so that we're not trying to get the heels close to the sitting bones. They're farther away. So again, we're working very carefully and slowly into our hip opening. So you can either, or maybe you can do both if you like, place your hands on your shins or ankles and then press the knees away and down. Or if you feel like you can go a little deeper, you can tuck your hands underneath your ankles, bring your fingers to the top of the ankle, and shift your heart forward, round your spine. Your elbows are helping the knees open up to support the opening of the hips and the inner thigh. You want to take it out of your low back, so draw the navel in and up and breathe. Nice. Unroll all the way to your seat. Hands come outside your knees to help the knees come up. We're going to meet we're going to meet in a child's pose. Woohoo! Knees wide, big toes touch. Arms forward, head rests on something, a prop, the mat, the backs of your hands. See how much length you can find from each sitting bone and hip bone to the pinky finger on both sides. This is a nice stretch of the side bodies under the arms, the spine, and it is also a hip opener. Let's go ahead and place the palms together with the pinky fingers on the ground. Head returns back to the earth. Bend your elbows, drawing the fingers to the nape of the neck or between your shoulder blades. This might be open enough for you. But if you can, without lifting the bottom, you're going to walk the elbows forward one at a time, get a little bit more stretch. Stretchy, stretchy, gumby, gumby. Now, if you can, you're going to scoop your elbows toward your knees and unravel to sitting on your heels. Doesn't work for everybody. And we're going to go ahead and interlace the fingers behind us, opening up the elbows. We'll take a little twist one way. I'm going to my right. If the tops of your feet hurt, you might bring your knees together. And we twist the other way. Come forward and tilt the first way. Breathe in. Breathe out. Up tall and tilt the other way. And rise up. We're going to go ahead and bring the hands to the ground, coming to a tabletop, starting a little movement of the spine in cats and cows. Take 3 with the hands on the ground. And then we're going to bring the forearms to the ground and take 3 that way. Neutral spine. And now if you can, send one foot to the back of the mat. So you're on the ball of that foot. Scoop the belly in. Use your glutes on the left side and scoop the other foot back. A forearm tabletop. Then drop the hips all the way to the ground. Maybe widen your feet. Send your heart forward like it's going past your fingers, finding a Sphinx pose. Come all the way down to the mat. Turn your head in one direction, doesn't matter which. Loosen the shoulders. Bring your forehead back to the mat, elbows underneath your shoulders, come back into Sphinx. And this time imagine that you could dynamically draw the mat backward with your forearms and your fingers. Squeeze the shoulder blades. If there's a lot here in your low back, you're going to point your pelvis downward and forward. Come all the way down to the mat. Turn the head the other way. And we're going to take one more back bend here. Forehead to the mat. Find your Sphinx. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper, maybe not. Doesn't matter. This time as you come down to the mat, bring your arms into a cactus shape. So the forearms should be outside your mat. The elbows as high as your shoulders. And turn your head toward the right, so the left ear is on the ground. Fallen tree. You're going to bend your right knee and lift it. So it's just like standing in a tree, but you're down on the mat. So the sole of the right foot is inside the left thigh or calf. The knee is pointing out to the side, and the inside of the knee is on the ground. If you like, you can play with this here to open up your shoulders. Taking the right hand to the mat underneath or just outside your chest. And then you might roll over to the right. I have to bring my head up because my neck hurts. Some people can put their head all the way down. Then that right foot might plant behind the left calf. Come back into your fallen tree. Bring your head to the forehead to the mat and unwind. We'll take that to the other side. We turn our head so the right cheek and ear are on the mat. We lift and bend outward the left knee like we're standing in tree. We're working both hip bones toward the earth. And for our shoulder and chest opening, perhaps left hand right outside your chest. And then we press ourselves onto the right side, maybe dropping the left foot behind the right calf or knee. And we return to the mat. One more time, child's pose. Don't worry, we'll get a little bit more active momentarily. Finding all the feels for where we need to stretch and where we often don't pay that much attention to. We're going to come back to our tabletop. We're going to place the right foot outside the right hand. You might want to scoot your left knee back or place something underneath it. I'm going to heel toe the right foot out to the right and point the toes to the right. And now you're drawing the pelvis forward like it's moving ahead of your mat. And we're going to take a twist. Bring your right hand down to the mat, tabletop, long tabletop, and take the left foot outside the left hand. Again, adjusting if you need to. That right kneecap, the left toes point out to the left. We take a twist over the left shoulder. Pelvis draws forward rather than down. Opening up our hips, our psoas, hip flexor. Left hand down, tabletop. Make sure you're all squared up. We're going to do a little strength exercise. working as much from the belly as we possibly can. So the shoelace sides of the feet are on the ground. The hands are nice and firm and wide with a little lift at the center of the palm. We're going to breathe out, press the floor away, and lift the knees a couple of inches. We breathe here. 3, draw the belly in, make space between the shoulder blades, and come down to the mat. A cow and a cat. Neutral spine, take that again, press the floor away, breathe out. Knees down, a cow and a cat. This time, neutral spine, press the floor away, roll over your toes and come to your downward dog. You might be feeling this in your triceps. We won't stay here a ton of time, but breathe in, breathe out, and make your way to the front of the mat for a forward fold. Finally, Karen, we're moving, standing up. Woohoo! Any bind you want here, take it. Nod your head, shake your head, maybe sway a little. Halfway lift, long flat spine. You might bend your knees a little more for that. Draw the belly in, the shoulders toward your hips. Exhale, forward fold. Roll all the way to standing. Reach your arms high. Bring the hands through the heart as you fold again. Half a lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Forward fold. Gently unravel all the way to standing, arms overhead. This time we take a hold of the left wrist, give a little tug, and a tilt over to the right. Finding beauty in the fullness of the rib cage. Lift up, switch your grasp, a little tug of the right arm, make it long, and tilt other way. Rise up, exhale, forward fold. Half lift. And a forward fold. We're going to rise up once again all the way to standing. Bring our arms into a cactus shape and pause. Maybe a little smile to your face. Maybe you come back to your intention. Maybe you close your eyes. You could roll around on your feet to really feel all 4 corners. Strengthen those triceps. Drop your hands behind you. You can stack your hands or interlace your fingers or hook them. We want to get nice and wide across the collarbones. Draw the arms long, the knuckles down. Opening up the heart. This will be our first squat, modified chair, finding a little space between the feet and our bind. So if your belly is just kind of hanging out there, draw it in and up and draw your tailbone down a little bit. They work together. We're going to rise up to the balls of the feet. Sink down a little further. We're strengthening our ankles here. Bring your feet back to the mat. See if you can stay low. Breathe in. And a fold, maintaining your bind. Maybe the hands float from your back. Maybe they do not. Nod your head. Shake your head. Open and close your jaw. Exhale, hands to the ground. Left foot steps way to the back of the mat. Really find a nice stretch here. If you need your props in any way, take them. Find your balance. Maybe you draw to your fingertips and you reach the heart forward. Lift the belly. Reach that left heel long. Stay here for 3, 2. Don't grip the mat with your toes, but press them down. And 1, a twist. Left hand down, right arm floats high. If you have shoulder problems, right hand can come to your hip. Make sure that right knee is not splaying out to the right. And check that your left thumb is not being overextended. Stay in your twist to drop your back knee. Twist a little deeper. Lift your back knee. Drop your back knee, drop your right hand, untuck your back toes, half split. An extension of the front leg. If you happen to have a full split and you can take it safely, feel free. And rather than moving your hands way forward toward your front heel, you might move them backwards. It helps make the spine a little bit longer. We plant the front foot, tuck the back toes under, and walk our way toward the long edge of the mat. Toes in and heels are out. Lift halfway up. Breathe here. Make your feet as wide as you can. Draw your belly in. Lift the heart. Exhale, fold. If you like, you might spin your fingers to face the other edge of the mat and walk your hands between your heels. And then we're going to walk toward the back foot, coming into our runner's lunge. So now the left foot is facing forward and is ahead of the right foot. The right heel is reaching back. Our fingertips are on the ground and we're lifting the belly and the heart, reaching that right heel away from us. Right hand comes down for a twist. Left arm high or behind you. Drop the back knee. Twist a little deeper. You might start to feel this in your right quad, your right hip flexor. We're going to lift that back knee once again. Staying deeper in the twist. Now the back knee releases, the back toes release, the left hand release, half split. And once again, this time the left foot plants. Lift the back knee, walk to the long edge of your mat. Heel toe your feet a little closer together, bring your heels in and your toes out. We're going to start with a little bit of a footballer stance, so squat your bottom down. Make sure that your feet are even, mine are not, my mat is slipping everywhere. And then you might interlace your fingers and take some cat-cow, cow-cat shapes here. And of course, now we're going to rise all the way up. Give ourselves a moment to shake it out. You might bring your feet even a little closer together. So wide hips distance or just a bit past, but the toes still remain pointed out. 5-pointed star, arms up in a V. If you like a power stance, you might make fists, but leave the thumbs out. Draw the belly a little bit in. Draw the tailbone down. And cactus shape arms, you might keep your mudra if you like it. And then we're going to bend our knees, drawing the tailbone down. Knees toward the middle toes. Tuck your tailbone, draw the belly in. our Papa Bear, our goddess or temple or horse. It has many names, this pose. And we're going to lift back up, 5-pointed star. Come back down, temple. Nice and strong. Move your knees away from each other. Lift back up, 5-pointed star. Come back down, temple. This time, right heel lifts up off the mat. Tuck that tailbone, sink deeper. Stay low, bring the heel back down. Left heel lifts. Tuck the tailbone, draw the belly in, sink deeper. Stay low, left heel down. Guess what happens next? Both heels off the mat. Strengthening the ankles and the quads, the belly, the low back. Sink lower. Stay here, bring the heels down. 5, 4, 3, 2, hands on your hips, rise up. Woo, shake it out. We're going to stay here because we're going to work into our warrior twos. 2 warrior twos, 1 on each side. So bring your back foot, now let's start with the back. Bring your front foot parallel to the front of your mat. Pivot on your left heel to point your toes toward the back of the mat, the back of the room. Sink into your left knee. Work to tuck the tailbone. Activate the glutes. Arms out in a T. Left knee moving away from the midline. And the same thing here. Lift the left heel up. Sink deeper. Remain here. Stay low. Lower the foot, the heel. Flip your front palm. Reverse this warrior. Warrior 2. Hands to your hips. Lengthen your left leg. Bring your left foot parallel to the back of the mat. Pivot on your right heel so those toes face the front of the mat. Draw the belly and the tailbone down. Bend into your front knee. Work that knee away from your midline. Arms in a T. Shoulder height. Triceps activated. Feet are not grabbing the mat. Imagine almost this dynamic movement of the thighs toward each other, but spinning away from each other. Lift the right heel. Sink down, keep the heel up. Remain here. Bring the heel back down, stay low. Reverse your warrior. Warrior 2. Hands to your hips and lengthen your front leg and step forward to the front of your mat. My step was not all that graceful, but who said it had to be graceful? We're going to come into mountain pose, hands by your sides. Sweep your arms out and up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. And your forward fold. Rise back up to stand. And draw your hands to your hips. We're going to do a little outer hip work here. So if your balance is a little iffy or you feel not so confident with it, you can go ahead and use a wall. And the fingertips that are opposite the leg that comes off the mat is what you're working with. So you're going to bring the right leg off first, which means if you're going to use a wall, or in this case, a pole, you would use your left hand. So hands on the hips, feet about bony hips with distance apart. And we're going to go ahead and point the right toes out to the right and take a step to the right. And then we're going to lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. And then we sweep that leg behind us. We're still on the toes. We're going to lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, and then the knee into the chest. And if you fall out like I just did, you just go back in and draw the foot down. We're going to take it to the other side. So this time your right hand would be on your wall. We're going to reach the left leg out, toes are on the ground. We're going to lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Toes sweep behind us, lift, lower, lift, down, up and down, and knee up in the front. And the foot comes down, shake it out. Nice. Sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Bottom drops, arms lift. So we're really working as if we have something between our knees. And if you have something you want to put between your knees, take it. But imagine that the thighs are rolling into each other. And rather than making a big arch in your low back, the sort of lordosis kind of shape, you tuck the tailbone down a little bit, draw the belly in and lift the chest. If it feels better to open the arms another way so you can get the upper back bend while protecting your low back, go ahead and do that. Inhale, high. Exhale, forward fold. Left foot way to the back of the mat. We're going to move into lizard. So heel toe the right foot to the right. Keep the toes and the heel in the same line. If you like, you can drop your back knee. Open up the front foot like a book so you're on the outer edge. And maybe you stay here, or maybe the hands walk forward until the forearms come to a prop or the mat. If you like a little bit more of a challenge, you can retuck your left toes and float them away from the mat. For me, it feels really good to rock left and right. If your knee is lifted, drop it. We're going to come up and then scoot that right foot across the mat to prepare for pigeon. So that right knee will drop to the mat. We extend that left leg straight out of the hip, and then maybe a prop if you need it on your right glutes. And we find our fold into pigeon. Working our way toward, I'd say up, but it's really down. Working our way down toward the final hip opener, which is a squat. A low squat, a prayer squat, a baby bear squat. Loosen the shoulders, widen the elbows. Hands come under the shoulders, lift back up, remove any prop if you have one. And we're going to tuck the back toes under, come to a high plank, drop your knees, and bring the left foot outside your left hand for lizard. Once again, the foot is straight top to bottom. We peel it open like a book. Make sure you're not on the kneecap of the back leg, so that might mean scooting the leg back farther, and then into your full lizard, whatever that expression is for you. Place the hands on the mat, remove your prop, heel toe the left foot across the mat to come into your pigeon. I know some of you love this posture. Get the most out of it for 6 breaths. Hands return under your shoulders once again. This time, we're going to tuck our back toes under. Lift our left leg to our high plank. Come into downward facing dog. Breathe in. And out. Walk the feet forward. Send them as wide or wider than your mat and point your toes out. You might place a block under your hands for sturdiness. Then you're going to drop your bottom, coming into prayer squat. You might need more space between your feet. Winter time for me means I need to rock a little left and right. And in your prayer squat, your bottom drops, your spine gets long, your hands come to your heart. And we're going to take 6 breaths. Hands drop. You're going to find your way to a seat. We're just going to find a little baby back bend. Bringing the soles of the feet together. It can be close to your sitting bones or not super close. The hands will come behind you onto the ground, palms down, fingers point toward you. You're going to shift onto your palms. Draw the belly in. Extend your torso. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Squeezing an orange, 2 oranges. Squeeze. Lift your heart. Drop your head back. Little baby back bend. We're going to rise up. Extend both legs. Paschimottanasana, seated double-legged forward fold. And slowly roll down 1 vertebra at a time, all the way down to your mat. A full body pencil stretch. Let it go. Hug your right knee to your chest. Cross it over your body, coming onto your left side, and find your twist. Gaze moves toward the right. Return your spine fully to the mat and take your twist to the other side. Left knee hugs in. You shift onto your right side and let that knee cross over the body. And if possible, your head turns toward your left hand. Return all the way to your spine and take any last shape or movement that your body is calling for. That might be a happy baby, legs up the wall. Maybe you hug your knees in and give a little rock left and right. And finally, your final resting posture. Maybe the traditional Shavasana with the legs extended and space between all of the extremities, or maybe some other shape. Breathe in fully, let it go. Begin to deepen your breath once again. You're welcome to come to seated any way that works for you. I'm going to guide, but you don't have to do it this way, obviously, to draw the knees into the chest and imagine that you're making a little circle, a little ball of energy around your intention, which is in your belly and your heart. And you can rock forward and backward, maybe using your hands until you come to a seat. And in your seat, a nice cross of your legs, and maybe you do it the awkward way. Try it the other way. See if that feels awkward. And if it feels awkward and you can stay in it, stay there. Some of us can't due to the way the body works. We're going to go ahead and place the hands stacked on the heart. We're going to breathe in, fill the belly, fill the heart. Breathe out. Check in with a little body scan, the toes all the way to the hips. See if you notice anything different from the beginning of the practice, and maybe you don't remember, and that's okay too. Feel what you feel. Maybe you feel a little looser, a little opener, a little more vulnerable, a little more welcoming. And now start at the crown of the head, scanning the body all the way down as if you could look inside the body from the top down at all the wonderment of the blood flow into the muscles that not only manage the hip opening and closing, but also support. Now press your palms together, return to your intention. Consider how you'd like to live out the rest of your day. Maybe it has something to do with your intention, maybe something else. We'll close with an Om, celebrating all that is merit from the practice. An Om allows us to connect energetically and vibrationally with all living things. And therefore, it's as if we can allow the merit of the practice to be shared with all those beings. Exhale all the air out of your lungs. Breathe in fully. Thumb knuckles connect right at the middle of your forehead. A moment of honoring one another, of gratitude for one another, and of gratitude as well for the practice that brings us together. Namaste. Thank you all for being here and sharing this wonderful thing that is yoga. PSA, we are closing for maintenance over the next week and a half. So there will be no yoga and no glass classes next weekend starting Thursday. But we will be open Thanksgiving weekend. So hoping that there's an opportunity to get together then. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.